Hello friends, welcome back to Locally Raised. If this is your first video here, my name is Marta, and today I want to share with you what I've purchased in my latest order from Azure Standard. This was my December Azure order. It actually came right before Christmas, and knowing how busy the Christmas season is and going into New Year's, I just decided to allow myself to put all these things aside and not store them or process them or deal with them until things calmed down for a bit. So 2 weeks ago, I took the half-hour drive out to my Azure drop location to pick up this order. I've been ordering from Azure for about 1.5 years now, and so I've ordered from them when I lived in Texas and also now that I live in Pennsylvania. I was happy as soon as I decided I was going to move. I looked up a drop location in my new area and was happy to find there was one half an hour away. If you're not familiar with Azure, it's a company based in Oregon through which you can order organic and whole and bulk foods. And those orders are placed once a month, and then they are shipped to a drop location in your area, and you just drive out and pick up your order. I order from Azure because it allows me to buy some foods that I can't grow myself, buy from a local farmer, or source at my grocery store. I tend to buy organic grains from them, and I also really love that I can buy in bulk from them because those savings help me stay within my grocery budget. It's been fun to see how the crowd is a little bit different at my Pennsylvania drop than it was at my Texas drop. In Texas, when I went to pick up my Azure order, I saw a lot of people who looked like ranchers. They would pull up in pickup trucks and they were wearing boots. In Pennsylvania, I passed through farm country to get to my drop location, and the drop itself is an old farm, and I see a lot of vans and very large families and some Mennonites. So it's fun to see these little communities that I find myself becoming a part of because we all care about eating good whole foods. All right, let me show you what I got with this order. It's not an enormous order. I don't do enormous bulk hauls just because I'm working within a grocery budget. So I am trying to slowly build up bulk supplies. One by one, as I run out of some dry goods, I try to replace them with something that I order in bulk from Azure. And so in that way, I'm kind of building up a pantry. So I'm building gradually. Let me show you what I got, and I'll tell you why I got it. And then stick around because I'm going to store some of these things with long-term storage. And I'm also going to do a price comparison to show you how buying organic through Azure compares with buying more conventionally grown and raised foods from the grocery store. So first up, I got 2 blocks. Well, it's now 1.5. I have no clue how fast my family goes through cheese. This was a surprise to me. 2 very large blocks of grass-fed raw milk cheddar cheese. My family does eat a lot of cheese. I've never bought in this quantity before, so I was surprised to see that 2 weeks after our order, we're down to this. But I did a little bit of holiday casserole making and things like that, where I grated some of this and used it to serve others. So maybe that wasn't all just me, my family. This I love getting because there's no place here where I can get raw milk, grass-fed cheese. So for me, this is a win because I can't get it at the grocery store. Next up is maple syrup. And this is an organic maple syrup. I think I could get organic maple syrup at my grocery store. I just happened to be getting this order and figured I might as well add this in as well. I've been using a lot more maple syrup since I switched away from sugar. So maple syrup and honey have really become staples in our house that we go through a lot more quickly these days. So this will probably last me 1 to 2 months, and then I'll need some more. I also got from the same company that makes the cheddar cheese, some Grazier's grass-fed raw milk butter. This butter is delicious. I can get grass-fed butter, most of us can, at the grocery store because Kerrygold is a grass-fed brand and it is delicious as well. I like that this happens to be from California, so it's still domestic. It hasn't traveled quite as far as the Kerrygold, but as I run out of this, I often buy Kerrygold too. I need to start buying this in larger quantities to save money on it. Right now I buy it in bundles of 3, and what that comes out to costs a little more than buying Kerrygold at the store. So I'll be honest, this is a splurge for our family. I love the flavor and I think it's nutritionally dense, but if I had to trim the fat in my budget at some point, I might not keep buying this. Goji berries. I need to start buying these in larger quantities because we've been going through them pretty fast. I use these probably every other day. I will put a handful of them in a mug and pour hot water over them and let it sit for about 10 minutes. It plumps them up. And then I just sip on the hot water and eat the berries whenever they come up. About 10 years ago, I actually taught at an international school in China. And it was really common to see people walking around with water bottles that had these little berries floating in them. For many of the Chinese people that I knew, that was just a daily routine, that they would wake up, put some water in a cup with goji berries, and that's what they would sip on throughout the day. So that became something I did more often. They are super nutritionally dense, and I like the way they taste. This is something that isn't easy for me to find at the grocery store, at least not in organic form. You can order it on Amazon organically, but actually I found that Azure's prices on this are much better than anything else I've found online. All right, I also got dried cranberries or craisins. I think craisins is a name owned by Ocean Spray, but that's still what my family calls them. This I've not been able to find anywhere else. These don't have any sugar in them. They're infused with apple juice, and that's what makes them palatable because cranberries are pretty sour. These are a splurge for us. They're not cheap. They're another thing that I might start buying in larger quantities because I've been getting one of these bags per month and we tear through them. This bag, I don't know if you can tell, I'm holding an empty bag right now. So we've already worked our way through these. They're an easy snack for my kids and I put them in salads and snack on them as well. So I think I could save more money if I started buying them in larger quantities. Sugar. I like getting sugar from Azure because they sell organic sugar that's minimally processed. It still has some of that molasses color and flavor in it. Also, if I were going to pick only a few items in my life that I would purchase organic, sugar would be one of them. Sugar is one of those crops that's now genetically modified, and the conventional sugar you see on the grocery store shelves probably had Roundup sprayed on it. It's become standard practice to spray Roundup on sugarcane to desiccate it before harvest. So if staying away from that Roundup is something that you'd like to do, buying organic sugar is a good way to go. And here's my one true bulk item for this order. So this is a 25-pound bag of basmati rice. For my family, this will last about a year. We eat rice probably once a week. My kids are young, so a cup of rice, a cup of dry rice that I then prepare feeds my family for a meal. So this will last us some time. And purchasing a 25-pound bag of rice does allow me to start really getting savings so that organic becomes more financially feasible. I'm gonna put a few of these things back into my pantry and my fridge, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna put some of the other items away for long-term storage. I'll start out with topping off my sugar container. Anything that I know I'm gonna keep for just a few months and my family will use it up in that time, I keep in containers like this because they'll just keep the bugs and the moisture out, but I don't need any true long-term storage for those items. It was definitely time for some sugar. We were very low. This is a 5-pound bag, so it fits perfectly in here. It's definitely the color of sugar that has been minimally processed. Next, I'm going to deal with this cheese. So the cheese is enough that it will last my family a couple months, which means I need to get some of it into the freezer. So I'm just going to start by cutting it up into smaller blocks. I'm not going to weigh the blocks. I'm not going to weigh the blocks. I'm not particularly concerned with them being exactly the same size. I'm just going to aim for a week or two's worth of cheese. And then I'll show you how I'm going to wrap those blocks for freezing. This is about the size I'm working with. I'm going to put one block this size back into the fridge. It's my family's current supply. For this large block, I'm going to divide it into 4 pieces. That leaves 5 blocks that need to go into the freezer. So each one's going to get wrapped a couple times in cling wrap. Just want to make sure no air can get to them. And then these blocks are going to go into gallon storage bags. I think I'll do 2 per bag. I'm going to squeeze out as much air as possible. Anytime food goes into storage, it needs to be labeled with a date so I know when I put it away and I know when it's going to go bad. Cheese will do well for about 3 months in the freezer. These are ready to go into my deep freezer. Finally, I'm ready to take care of my last item, which is my true bulk item in this order, and that's the rice. This is my 25-pound bag. So I'm going to start off by filling up our rice container. We were truly out. This is what I'll use as I cook. And then the rest of the rice is going to go into Mylar bags with some oxygen absorbers to keep it good in longer term storage. Filling bags is a job that works really well with 2 pairs of hands, so that someone can hold while someone else fills. But if you happen to be working on a project like this by yourself, I've found that it works well for me to just put the bags in a box and allow that to give them the support they need, so my hands are free to fill them. These are gallon-sized Mylar bags. You can buy Mylar bags in a variety of packs if you want an assortment of sizes available. I chose gallon bags just because that's going to give me the right amount to go into my plastic storage container for use. That gave me 4 gallon-sized Mylar bags full of rice. So now the next step is to put oxygen absorbers in each bag. It's important to fill all the bags first and then put in the oxygen absorbers, because as soon as I open this little package, these guys are going to start doing their thing. Like I said, it's important to move quickly as soon as the package of oxygen absorbers has been opened, because once its vacuum seal has been broken, those oxygen absorbers start absorbing oxygen. So I want to get them into the packages and get the packages sealed as soon as possible. Each of my oxygen absorbers is 400 cc's. For a 1-gallon bag, 400 to 500 cc's is the appropriate amount to suck out that oxygen and keep it sealed. You can see I'm using my hair straightener here to seal the top of each bag. A hair straightener or an iron works well. It'll take about 4 hours for the oxygen absorbers to do their job and suck the oxygen out of this bag, and then it will have that sort of vacuum sealed look where it's tightly clinging to the rice. So I'm happy to have 4 of these ready to put into my pantry and still have a container of rice that we can eat from now, and I don't have to worry about bugs and flavor loss as we work on our way through this over the next year. Now that we've got all that food put away, I want to talk for a moment about money because eating organic and high quality foods is a lovely ideal, but budgets are also a reality. And I have lived through different seasons in my life when it comes to my family's grocery budget. So as a frame of reference, I want to talk you through what I paid for these items from Azure, and then what they would have cost if I'd gotten a non-organic version of them from Walmart. I happen to choose Walmart because there was a season of life when I was newly married and my husband and I were on a very tight grocery budget, and Walmart was the place that allowed us to stick within that budget. Obviously, I'm comparing apples and oranges. An organic high quality food is not the same as a non-organic great value brand food. But I want to compare these apples and oranges in case eating organic and eating high quality food might seem financially inaccessible. I want to show you the ways that we've managed to make it more accessible for our family. So there were 2 items in this order that I bought in large quantities. That's the cheese and the rice. So the cheese that I bought was 2 5-pound blocks of cheese, and that was raw milk, grass-fed Grazier's cheddar cheese. And so the price per pound was $5.58 a pound. I looked on Walmart's website at what Cabot brand cheddar would cost if you buy, for example, a 2-pound block. That's kind of the best comparison I can give in terms of quality. And it costs $5.54 a pound. So $5.58 a pound versus $5.54 a pound, not a big difference. That's something that I can afford. We're looking at pretty much equal expenses there. The other item that I bought in bulk was the rice. And so that was a 25-pound bag of rice. It was organic basmati rice. My price per pound came down to, let me see, where is it? $1.81 a pound is what I paid for that 25-pound bag of rice. If I were going to buy, for example, a 2-pound bag of royal basmati rice from Walmart, that would come out to $1.99 a pound. So I actually spent less on this organic basmati rice from Azure than I would if I had bought royal basmati rice in a smaller quantity from Walmart. So bulk really has been the key to keeping our grocery budget down. What I'm trying to do is every month watch as one dry good pantry item runs out and then look at options for replacing that one item with a bulk supply, something that might be a year's worth for my family. And in buying that quantity, I'm able to keep our expenses manageable. I will tell you that there were things in my Azure order that we just decided to spend on because we like them. And you saw some of my quantities were small, and we certainly spent more than we would if we were buying a non-organic item from the grocery store. So I'll give you some examples of those just to be completely transparent. The butter, for example, I think was the most expensive item I bought. I've been buying butter in quantities of 3. So those 1/2-pound blocks that you saw, they come in a set of 3, and if I get 3 of those from Azure, it works out to $10.27 a pound. If I were going to get Kerrygold butter from Walmart, so Kerrygold is a high quality grass-fed butter, it's $8.36 a pound. If I were going to buy Land O'Lakes butter from Walmart, it's $5.98 a pound. So yes, I spent more. I'm trying to decide if I want to start buying butter in larger quantities to try to get that price down. Butter freezes fairly well, and so I could just store it in the freezer. I already store some. So that might be something that I make a change on. But for now, I just like the flavor of that butter, and I've decided that we can make space in our budget for it. Another item that definitely cost me more was the dried cranberries that are infused with apple juice rather than sugar. That's an item that I've just decided is worth it to me to pay more for, but I might start buying it in larger quantities to try to get that price down because my family's been tearing through them lately. So that apple juice infused organic dried cranberries from Azure cost me 58 cents a pound. If I were buying ocean sprayed craisins from Walmart, I'd spend 33 cents a pound. So it definitely is cheaper to get the Walmart version of that. I like what we're getting and it's worth it to me. But again, might have to buy in larger quantities if I want to start making this food budget more comparable to what I would have spent at a conventional grocery store. Let's see, one other item I'll point out. Oh, the goji berries. I don't know how Azure is doing it, but goji berries, even though I bought a small amount, are just cheaper at Azure than anywhere else I've seen them. Goji berries are something I can't get at my local Walmart, and certainly couldn't find organic goji berries. What I paid for the goji berries that I got is $8.99 a pound. Like I said, those were organic and I got 1.5 pounds. If I were going to buy the first kind of organic goji berries that came up when I searched on Amazon, I would be paying $32 a pound. And as I poked around on Amazon, I couldn't find anyone offering them anywhere close to $8.99 a pound. So Azure is a deal when it comes to goji berries, even if you're not buying in bulk. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today, checking out my Azure order, letting me share with you how I store food for long-term storage, and talking food and money, a reality we all confront at some point. I am now 1 week away from having this baby. It is a scheduled C-section, so I'm pretty sure this is actually going to happen in a week. And so I'll be taking a little break from making videos, and I look forward to finding out whether this is a boy or a girl. You can find me on Instagram at locally.raised, and I will share on there when the baby is born and whether I have a new daughter or a son. Thanks again for joining me today. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in a few weeks. Bye.